I'm with Matt Dardany, and he started Cut Short Landscaping when he was 11 years old. He's 19 years old now, and he just purchased out East Ridge Landscaping, and he's grossing over $1.2 million a year. We're going to find out how Matt got started. We're going to look at the journey that got him to where he's at right now. We're going to share some of Matt's best things that he's learned over the years.
We upsell everything. We go hedges, aeration, tree work, landscape work, everything we can upsell. We know what our clients will pay. We know what our clients will allow us to do, how far we can push them. I was turning all that money I had saved up into actual equipment. I was going on a spending spree to the point my parents actually said, "If you're pretty good,
I'm good, thanks, Matt." Now, you said you started Cut Short Landscaping when you were 11, but that's not when you really started, was it?
I started before that when I was around 8 years old. I got a job with a family friend of mine who owned a nursery. I'd work with him on weekends and after school, doing tree transplants, installs, running machines around the nursery, and all that other fun stuff. And if you want, we could rephrase that for OSHA. I was volunteering my services for educational purposes.
But the point is you were gaining valuable experience that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise, right?
Yes, that is correct.
So you had 3 years of work underneath your belt. When you hit 11, what changed?
I had some neighbors who were moving away, and my family helped me get a lawn tractor that they had that they were not bringing with them. I got a few neighbors to let me mow their lawn. 3 weeks after I got the tractor, I went to Home Depot, bought a trimmer and a backpack blower and a push mower, and I just worked that whole summer on weekends pretty much mowing the grass for those several people.
Okay, we're going to stop right there, Matt, because I want to focus on the fact that in your case, you specifically did get financial help from your parents to get started.
Oh, yes, that would be correct.
Okay, what was that?
They gave me around $2,000, I believe it was, to try to buy the tractor, but we always had to pay back everything we borrowed for them. In order to get the loan, I had to make a case for them using slideshows and other things to prove that they were investing in the initial investment would be returned to them in a rather quick time.
Matt, you're telling me at 11 years old you had to make a slideshow presentation on why you were a safe investment to your own parents?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay, a lot of guys and gals watching this, they don't have that ability. They don't have anybody to borrow money. Don't fret. There's actually a couple really cool ways that I've discovered that you can start a lawn care landscaping business with absolute $0. And I'm going to make another video later on down the road showing that. I'm going to break in right here because not everybody wants to be in landscaping all of their life, and that's fine. But you can start out in landscaping and use the money you make in that business to invest in something else down the line. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. Although you had $2,000 to invest, there's ways to start with absolutely nothing. Now have you borrowed any other money along the way, because you now have trucks, dump trucks, skid loaders, trailers. You run multiple crews. Am I right, Matt?
Yes. When I first got into it in a large scale, probably when I was around 17 or so, my parents helped me get a truck. And the way we did that was I had to pay for it, but I gave them the money and they did it all through their name and their insurance. So I could get better rates and not be completely killed by insurance costs for the vehicle.
That's a very realistic way to do it. So if you are fortunate enough to have parents help you along the way, it does make life a lot easier. Although I'm guessing that you would have still purchased that truck no matter what you had to do.
Yeah, that is correct.
Did the business take an upturn when you were 17, Matt?
I tried to keep it small so I could still focus on schoolwork and other things that I knew were important for my future. But right around when I hit 16, 17 years old, got a driver's license, so I was able to spread out a little more, and that helped. So when that time rolled around and I got the truck and everything, I started to do some more selling to try to fill up my whole pretty much after school calendar and my weekends with all lawn care work. And then when I graduated high school, I completely filled everything. I 6 days of work all week for 2 guys.
So you started when you were 11 just mowing lawns? Is that how you got originally started, Matt?
Mowing lawns and weeding. And then at the end of the summer, I purchased a small snowplow for the front of the tractor, and I plowed driveways. I continued with lawn mowing until I was around 17 years old. I started getting more into landscape. Something that the viewers should take note is throughout this whole time, I tried to save as much money as I possibly could in order for later down the road I can invest heavily in the business with the money saved.
That first year, when you were 11 years old, what do you think you made that year?
3 to 6 grand, somewhere in there, gross.
Okay, so 3 to 6 grand gross as an 11-year-old, then 12, 13. Can you kind of run us through how the company grew?
Well, one of the things I've had is I've been lucky enough to have neighbors and other people who have allowed me to mow their lawns over the years.
Okay.
Which was really nice, especially because my area, my market is completely saturated with people who come into the business. They don't understand how prices are, so they underbid everything just to get jobs. They don't last very long because they're not making any money, but they're killing everyone else. So having a higher prices as I do is really hard to get jobs. So I was lucky because I had neighbors and everyone else who were willing to pay that money in order to help me out.
Did you think that being 11, 12, 13 years old was more difficult to gain work, or was that actually an advantage where people would go, oh yeah, let's help out the 11-year-old or 12-year-old?
I'd say it was more difficult, mainly because my area, the lawns are fairly large, 2 to 4 acres each. Everyone would think that the 11-year-old kid with his mower wouldn't be able to handle it, and then on top of that, I just happen to live in the smack center of an area that a large company has on complete lockdown.
Okay.
So getting any jobs in there, unless you have like a family relation hook or they're your neighbors or something like that, is extremely hard.
So how did you do it?
I would go around every year, about 2 to 3 times a year, knock on all the doors, talk to all the neighbors, introduce myself, and explain that I have a small lawn service, I'd be interested in doing your lawn. A lot of the people knew me from growing up, and as the years went on and they started noticing that I'm really in this for a long run, they started hiring me more.
I'm guessing that from the age of 11 to 17, you had almost a zero marketing budget.
Yes, other than flyers and business cards I get off Vistaprint, I had nothing.
So, but you saved up every year. You were adding into your pool of funds to save up to really, and so when it came to turning 17 and school let up for you, you could go all in.
By the time I hit 17, 18 years old, I was turning all that money I had saved up into actual equipment. I was going on a spending spree to the point my parents actually said, if you're going to live in our house, you have to go through us for every purchase you make.
You were going on a spending spree of purchasing equipment.
Yes.
Not race cars, not go-karts, not four-wheelers?
No, equipment. All equipment into the business. I had 2 crews running and all this equipment. I had leaf vacuums, snow plows, 2 trucks, tons of leaf blowers, mowers, and everything you could possibly get. I thought that was it. That's all I'm going to get for the next few years. And then I had an opportunity to purchase a business, and I said, this is where I'm going to make my big turn, and I'm going to go all in.
And
so,
your big turn is now you're grossing $1.2 million a year as a 19-year-old.
That would be correct.
How many crews do you have running right now, Matt?
We currently have 2 crews, and we're planning on actually adding another 2 crews between now and next spring.
And the 2 crews you have, do they do both hardscaping? Do they do maintenance? Or what do your 2 crews focus on?
A lot of mowing, mainly because mowing brings a good deal of money in, but it's a necessary thing. You have to mow in order to get into properties, in order to sell more. We have a month where we're having a hard time selling landscape or hardscape jobs. The mowing keeps us going. It keeps all guys working and it keeps revenue coming in, compared to everything just stops and sits.
So mowing leads to upselling.
Yes, exactly. We upsell everything. We go hedges, aeration, tree work, landscape work, everything we can upsell. We know what our clients will pay. We know what our clients will allow us to do, how far we can push them, and we even know our clients on name basis. So if we go to a yard, we'll go, how are you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith? How are your kids doing at college? How's the new car, and all this other stuff. And this really helps us be able to sell more because the clients feel a more personal way, a personal connection between us and the client. So we're not just a company, we're more, I want to say family or something with them. We have a better relationship with them.
A partner in their property.
Thank you, that's a good way to phrase it.
And Matt, you just hit the nail on the head to success. I can't tell you how important making that connection is. In fact, with my own crew leaders, I tell them every day spend 20 minutes with a customer. And they look at me, and I do hardscaping, bigger jobs. They look at me, and I look at that as an investment into that project, not a loss of time.
And our crew leaders do that same thing too. When I actually first took over the company, we sent out a letter, previous owner of emerging companies. A lot of customers called us and said, hey, are these guys staying on? Is this guy staying on? And we said yes to everything. Because when I purchased the company, my biggest thing was keep all the guys on, keep all the accounts we can, and we even still have the owner on payroll working as a manager with us for the next 2 years. So there can be a nice smooth transition. The clients won't really notice it because he'll slowly get out and I'll slowly come in.
Nice. Good strategy, Matt. You got a lot of guys out there, a lot of gals looking at starting their own business. You've done it now. You're 19. You're doing 1.2 million. What kind of advice would you give them just getting started?
Number one, quality over quantity any day. You gotta have good quality work. If you're just going out there and getting as many yards as you can and charging cheap prices for them, you're not really gonna get anywhere. You're just gonna shoot yourself in the foot, and you'll get stuck in a kind of rotation where every year you're kind of stuck in the same thing. You can't really grow, but you can't get any smaller. And eventually you get to a point where you're spending so much money because you need all this new equipment in order to stay the size you are or get bigger, but you're not bringing that much money in, and then you'll go out of business. So the first thing is definitely make sure you have your quality down, have correct prices on that quality, because we have some yards. I think I showed you I sent you a picture of it, Stan, of a yard we do, and I call it the world's smallest yard. We literally 4x4 box of grass, and the guys come in and they just trim that little thing and blow off the driveway and road. And that's it. And we're charging $50 for that. And we're doing that because the time it takes us to get all the guys in the truck, drive the truck there, do that little section and drive to the next thing is time and money. And then to add to that, you have to know all your numbers. That's the second biggest one. When we do bids for simple lawns to bids for huge landscape jobs, we have every one of our numbers. All the numbers are in, including workers' comp, our insurance, our simple truck insurance. How much is it going to cost for a truck to sit on that job? Every little thing that's going to that job is put into that bid, and that's so we don't lose any money on stuff. Because you have guys that come up and you'll walk around the yard and they'll go $50. They don't know how long that's going to take them. They might have a decent idea, but they don't know. And that's the issue. You got to know every one of your numbers and have them down pat. I got charts in the offices. All the guys who go out pricing jobs have binders, and they have charts in the binders that show how much each piece of equipment down to a shovel costs on a job through wear and tear, insurance, maintenance, and all that stuff is added in. So we're not losing any money. We also have good relationships with our nurseries, our suppliers for everything, and that way we buy so much from one place or two places that they end up giving us breaks on stuff.
Matt, absolutely rock solid advice. I'm very impressed. Everything that you said are things that I scream over and over again. Quality over quantity. When you focus on quality, your margins are also higher. So I want to say thank you for all of